Hi, everyone. Welcome to November's Alumni Chapter Officer Training. Tonight, we are talking about Heart to Heart, our collegiate alumni relations. And I'm Gretchen Johnson. I am a native Ada from the University of Washington. I am the Alumni Chapter President of the Greater Seattle Chapter, and I am Alumni Chapter, Alpha Area Alumni Chapter Specialist. I will turn it over to my co-host, Lisa, to introduce herself.
All right, I'm Lisa Lang. I am from Ohio. I'm a Delta Phi. I'm the Ashland University in Ashland, Ohio. I'm also a National Alumni Gamma Area Specialist, as well as the treasurer of the North Central Ohio Alumni Chapter and the Chapter Development Advisor at Rho Kappa, which is Kent State University.
Okay, I am Shelly All. I live in southwestern Indiana. I'm a Delta Lambda from the University of Evansville, National Alpha Area Alumni Specialist, and I'm in the Evansville Alumni Chapter.
Great. All right. What is Heart to Heart? Shelly, can you poke the button? One more. All righty. Heart to Heart is our fine new program that promotes positive interaction between a collegiate and an alumni chapter. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this. And through this program, collegiates will better understand that their bond of friendship and phi mu will become even stronger after graduation, because we all know on this call that as alumni, we have more fun than ever. And this program may be carried out by an alumni chapter with a nearby local collegiate chapter or a long distance chapter. And some alumni chapters may even support more than one Heart to Heart chapter. Next. What are the expectations of this program? We strongly encourage all alumni chapters to appoint a collegiate relations liaison or chairwoman to serve on the alumni executive committee. And some of you may have this position and have it under a different name, and that's fine. And that this position would be responsible for establishing and maintaining communication with your Heart to Heart chapter alumni relations chairwoman and the chapter advisor. And all collegiate chapters do have an alumni relations chair. Also, as part of the responsibilities, they would determine their Heart to Heart chapter's needs through communication with the chapter. There are expectations that you support your Heart to Heart chapter, whether it's local or long distance, at least twice a year. And one of those times should be recognition of Phi Mu's National Heart to Heart Day, which is on February 14th, which is very easy to remember since it is Valentine's Day. So we can extend some love to our collegiate sisters during that time. Also, chapters should be coordinating at least one combined activity with the alumni relations chairwoman each year. A lot of chapters will celebrate Founders Day with their Heart to Heart, their local Heart to Heart chapters. But Lisa will get into some other activities and things that that can be done with your local chapter or your long distance chapter. Why is Heart to Heart important? We talk a lot about membership, and basically anytime that we are interacting with our collegiate sisters, we are modeling alumni membership. Also, we want to make sure that we're making alumni chapter membership appealing to our collegiate sisters, so that when they graduate, they will either join your chapter, or if they move to another area, they will join a chapter close to them. We're also recruiting future alumni chapter members. Like I said, we want them to join us once they graduate, and we're recruiting future volunteers for local, area, and national positions. So we are recruiting our replacements in our positions. Okay. And now I'll turn it over to Lisa to talk about some ideas for how we can interact with our chapters.
All right, thank you. So if you're long distance from your Heart to Heart chapter, you can definitely utilize these virtual options, which has really helped that we can stay connected through Zoom and other platforms. But also you can send care packages during like special events. A lot of times we hear alumni chapters are doing it during exams. Practice recruitment conversations virtually with the breakout sessions. I don't know if any of you on tonight have done that, but that would be a great way to connect with your Heart to Heart chapter, those of you who are at a long distance. Also, make sure that you send your alumni newsletter to the collegiate chapter, and you can stay connected with them, sending them letters, sending them other types of care packages. And then as you can see, it does say, what other ideas do you have, or what kinds of things have you done? So we're going to open it up and see if any of you have any ideas that you'd like to share tonight. Or if you want to put them in the comments. Anyone have anything that you've done as far as long distance, or any virtual things that you have done lately?
I'll say something.
Game nights?
We try to get a road trip. It's not that far away. We're 45 minutes from our chapter, but with road construction and tunnel traffic, it's become like an hour-and-a-half trip. So we'll get a carload of people to go up for an initiation or a business meeting, and you always try to include like getting dinner out, so it's worth the trip. But it takes hours to get up there and get home. So we try to make it a fun-packed day.
All right. So it also becomes one of your activities that you do as an alumni chapter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, Tony. Anyone else? All right, well, we'll move into the local or in-person ideas that you have for your Heart to Heart chapters. I personally, we co-host a Founders Day ceremony, our North Central Ohio Alumni chapter with our Kent State chapter, and that's been a very successful event for our alumni chapter to co-host that event with them, and it's really built some really great relationships with alumni, and to try to build our alumni chapter as well with future alumni. Hosting a movie, bowling, painting night, anything fun, assist with ritual ceremonies. So I don't know how many of you on the call have had the opportunity to be the spirit, or or even the 3D when the seniors are going through 3D, if you've been a part of the ceremony for that. Providing recruitment help, always, like in the kitchen, or getting flowers if they're still using the flower ceremony, or whatever kinds of supplies and things that they might need help for during recruitment. So we open it up once again. Are there any other ideas that you have that we can add to our local and in-person Heart to Heart events?
Hey, it's Robin. I'm trying to find where to put the chat because there's a lot of background noise at my house and I can't see where to type it. But
don't worry about chatting. Just share with us.
I know, but the
God.
background, we've got the TV and the kids and the, one thing that we did,
Sure.
there's a scholarship lunch that we do when with the local panhandle. And so we make sure to open the scholarship up to that chapter. We also do the exam care packages, and so I can't, but I know we do that. Like we send the big packages up. And we've done Founders Day, not necessarily with our official heart to heart, but like with AU, which is closer and where I went to school. So he who organizes it gets to pick.
Nice. Lots of activity sounds like it's happening in your neck of the woods. Anyone
Um,
else?
Yes, me. In Seattle, we co-host Founders Day with our Heart to Heart chapter, and the collisions.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry, what?
Oh man, I knew this was gonna happen. I'm
What?
babysitting a dog, and then
Oh.
my dog is here, so now they want to go outside and play.
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, so we co-host Founders Day with our Heart to Heart chapter, and we always include an icebreaker so that we can, really get to know. We can recruit our collegians sisters, which is always fun, and they really enjoy that. We've also done cookie decorating at the holidays with them, and we try, like Lisa said, we try and go to the ritual ceremonies, especially 3D and initiation if possible. And then we also do something for the seniors, like when they're graduating. We'll do it. We've done a barbecue before. So
Nice. A barbecue. That sounds like fun.
I have one. I like we used to do something with the seniors too, like a different, we'd have some sort of like carry-in or something where we kind of pitched the like our chapter membership to them too, like as they, after 3D. But we have done we call it the Phi Feast, which is a Thanksgiving dinner for the collegiate chapter, where the alumni all kind of bring different Thanksgiving dishes and buy a turkey, and they get kind of like a home cooked Thanksgiving meal. We've done that some years, and that's been successful in the past. So that's just a different kind of thing too.
Oh, sounds wonderful. I want to come be a part of that. All right. Anyone else? Any other ideas? All right. So other ways that you can support your chapters, professional mentors. You could set up an opportunity where a lot of the alumni and talk about their professions and their careers, and then that gives the collegians an opportunity to be able to maybe build a relationship with someone in their future field of study. Creating Carnation Pals, Alum Chums program between newly initiated members with an alumna who follows them throughout their collegiate experience. Provide any kind of chapter advisor or chapter corporation board member. Just being present and getting to know the collegians is the key to this. Is building relationships, building that bridge from collegiate to alumni. And is there any other ideas that you guys have that you can think of after hearing some of these?
I have one.
Build relationships.
I think one thing that was fun is looking for somebody at convention that's representing the collegiate chapter and meeting them and spending some time at convention if you go with one of those collegiate girls.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun to have alum chums at convention.
Yes.
Oh, I love that idea, Tony. Oh my goodness, we have to do that.
Yeah.
That would be so fun. I can envision it already. Maybe we could do something with some kind of patterns of ears you find your alum chum with like something special on an ear.
Oh, that'd be cute. And then, of course, you buy them a Caring Carnation
Yeah.
for their badge, or yeah.
I apologize. I can't make my child be quiet. You know how it is when you get on the phone, I go in a different room and she still finds me. Lock the door. Okay. Well, if you don't have any other ideas, then next up, we are going to have Shelly wrap this up for us tonight and tell us about some really important events that are going on, and you need to mark your calendars. And so thank you so much for sharing your ideas tonight, ladies, so for the heart to heart chapters. And we can't wait to see what else you come up with throughout the year. And don't hesitate to do a shout out or brag about it on the Facebook posts or social media posts, or send it to the headquarters so that we can get it in the Aglaia.
Okay, first I'm gonna show you where you can find more resources. So when you log into MyFIMU on your homepage, you can click on Resource Hub and that will take you here. And on the Resource Hub, if you click on Alumni Chapter Operations, the drop down will have heart-to-heart chapters. And if you click there, there are these three items listed here. So the first is the heart-to-heart match. So double checking to make sure that you know who your actual heart-to-heart chapter is. Or if you're, curious about, who has other chapters near you, so that maybe you could talk to other alumni chapters and collaborate on things. Because I know some groups are different. We are pretty isolated where we're at, and we have like a FIMU chapter right by us. It's kind of obvious, but I know that in some areas, especially the larger cities, there might be multiple alumni chapters and multiple collegiate chapters that are all kind of in the same place. So checking out those heart-to-heart matches to see who is matched with who. We also have some heart-to-heart ideas, 2 different documents there that have been updated with things that chapters have done. So kind of like what we were just talking about, some of those ideas, but there are lots of ideas to be found, and both for in-person, like our close alumni chapters, and then the long distance ones. There are definitely a lot of long distance matches out there because of, when we have collegiate chapters in areas that don't have a large alumni presence, then it's possible that an alumni chapter from further away may be there heart to heart. So this is an excellent place. And then this webinar also is recorded and will be posted. And that is another resource that can be used continually from now on. So are there any questions? I have one more thing we're going to talk about in a second, but wanted to check and make sure we don't have any questions yet.
Cindy, are you trying to talk? Need to unmute. Oh, here, let's.
Okay, sorry.
You're okay.
Thought I had turned it on. Y'all are way ahead of me because we just rechartered a couple of months ago. And
Okay.
so I'm trying to attend these webinars or watch them if I can't be there, just to get us up to speed. So we don't have a heart to heart. And I think that 2021 list would definitely not have us on there.
Okay.
Not to mention being in Pensacola, I would say the nearest collegiate chapter would probably be at South Alabama. And there are 2 alumni chapters between here and there. That's an hour away. And then Tallahassee would be 3 hours from us.
Okay.
So how do you get assigned one? And also, I'm wondering what we do being so small. A lot of the ideas for the size chapters that we have around us, I don't know how we're going to make that work. At least anytime.
Well, sometimes what they'll do, so they're probably, if you are rechartering, if you're new and you're getting your, getting everything kind of like back together.
So we're rechartered.
Then that, that you may not have one immediately just because you are trying to get everything, taken care of to get get everything back running again. But once you're ready for a heart-to-heart chapter, you would contact alumni at fimu.org. And also sometimes, you know, a smaller chapter can, I know that this has happened before where like multiple chapters combine for one. So that's possible sometimes, where like two smaller alumni chapters might both have the same collegiate chapter that they support, so that they can kind of like rotate on different things or work together to try, you know, if you're going to mail something. So it sounds like the long distance options are obviously going to be more things that that your chapter might be doing. But even if you get to a point where you have your alumni, you know, if you get set up with a heart-to-heart chapter, you could do simple, smaller things too. It doesn't have to be like something huge. It can be sending good luck cards for finals, or you know, when we say a care package, like it doesn't have to be something elaborate. It can be you know, a box of, you know, chips with, you know, like, or little snack bags or something with cards saying good luck, you know, from your alumni, you know, chapter, heart-to-heart chapter, or, you know, things like that. So I think that it's always like starting small and simple and not getting too, you know, overwhelmed with it, is the best way. But definitely like when you are wanting to be matched, and I since I'm running this slideshow, I don't know if somebody can check and see if for some reason there would be. So you guys were chartered after 2021 is what you're
We
saying?
were rechartered about August 1st of this
Okay.
year.
So
We've been
then
working on it for about a year.
okay. So yeah, so it's, I would think it wouldn't be on there. But you can get a heart-to-heart chapter. There's always some available usually. And maybe even if you requested to, you know, share one with somebody, that might be possible too.
That's a great idea. Does anybody know about what percentage of your budget you spend on heart-to-heart chapters?
I think that would vary a lot, depending on the chapter and like what kinds of activities they do. And there's definitely no like standard, like you have to spend this much. I think it's
I
kind of
was just
just,
looking as a, you know, as a general
yeah.
guide, like, do most alumni chapters have smaller collegiate chapters that they're trying to provide for? I just was trying to get a feel for what kind of money that most people put into it as we go
You know,
forward.
yeah, in Seattle, our collegiate chapter is bigger than our alumni chapter, and we've kind of budgeted based on specific events, you know, like certain thing like X number of dollars for recruitment, or X number of dollars for snacks that would be spread out over the entire year. But you don't have to, like Shelley said, you don't have to spend money, or you can spend very little money. And I guess it depends on what how much your dues are too, and what
Well,
other things that
that's
you're
that's my
funding.
main question, because see, we didn't put this into when we were figuring out how much to charge for dues, we did not put this in. So I was just kind of thinking about this next year and thinking about how much we need to try to start putting in for that type of thing. But we don't have to just sit and talk about me. I know my questions are very basic compared to where you guys are.
No,
But
it's totally
No, I
fine.
think
Totally fine.
it's helpful. Yeah, this is Donna from the Cincinnati chapter. We have a very small alumni chapter as well. But in order to support our collegiate chapter, we didn't set aside dollars in our budget. We actually had a snack and beverage drive at a chapter event to get recruitment snacks and bottles of water and all of that. For we actually have two heart-to-heart chapters. So that's another way that you don't necessarily need to allocate it in your budget, but you can still get the resources from your chapter members themselves.
Thanks,
Yeah, I was
Donna.
thinking like a
That's
sign
a
up
great
genius.
idea.
You could use
Yeah.
like Sign Up Genius or something like that and have people offer to donate.
That's what we do too. We
If I could,
don't,
oh, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, you could also have a, you know, an Amazon snack list or something, and have people go out and buy the snacks and have them
Yeah.
shipped directly to the chapter.
What were you going to say, Robin?
Yeah, sorry. If I could just jump in, especially as a new chapter, your number one focus for your budget is getting yourself up and running and establishing your chapter and getting to convention. That's really where the budget, I think, focuses on. So as for budgeting for heart to heart in the beginning, I personally, and my chapter is very small right now, my alumni chapter, we don't have a budget for heart to heart stuff. So it's more going to be either manpower, like go and help at a recruitment or a 3D, or just show up at Founders Day kind of thing, just let our faces be known, versus showering them with gifts because they don't necessarily need or want, even though they totally appreciate. It's not something I feel that my chapter can do right now. And I think that, being there to break down something would be much more appreciated than if I like gave them some random cute lion thing that yes, they would love, but I would stress, I know for my chapter, we'd rather get a delegate to convention than worrying about funding, because there's so much more we can do for heart to heart rather than just budget. So if that helps alleviate any stress or pressure about what to do with budget in the beginning, I wouldn't, but that's just my opinion. So
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Robin.
you so much.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions? If you think of something, we have just one more thing here to go through, which is just the upcoming events going on in FIMU world. First are the FIMU Foundation Scholarship application. The window opens on December 1st, and those, are available for alumni as well. I know that's sometimes not something that people think about, but if somebody's, I actually got a FIMU Foundation scholarship for some of my graduate classes when I was getting my master's and things like that. So that is something that that you can think of, or if to share that too, obviously with your heart to heart, and that kind of stuff. If they just if you have that communication open. Huge deal is Miracle Market. We are supporting Odessa Brown Children's Clinic in Seattle this year. We're going out west, which is awesome. There is a link to the Miracle Market wish list on these slides, which you obviously can't really click on right now, but that has been sent out in the Alumni Chapter newsletter to all of the areas, as well as in the loop. I think it was in there. And it has been in separate emails. And does anybody else have anything to add about Miracle Market? Do we have any of our Miracle Market experts on here? Gretchen, I know you're local to the Miracle Market this year.
Yeah, also for the Miracle Market, if you follow the alumni, FIMU alumni Facebook page, they'll have challenges out there. And that's a great way to get in there and make a donation as well for specific items. So just toys.
Yes. And it can be individual or as a chapter. If you click on the wish list, there are items that are $5 and $10. I mean, like it's not all a bunch of like huge expensive things. Like it's really easy to make, and every little bit counts. And so, getting on there and sending those, it's a very easy, seamless process. The wish list is, and you can help in any way that you can. It is not frowned upon to just send something small, just anything helps. And yeah, but this is a huge thing that we do, and it's really awesome. So also there will be
Does
our
Shelby,
next.
does Shelby have an update on our challenges for our areas?
Last I heard, Alumni was winning and Beta was a very close second, but that was on Friday, so there might be some changes from the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
In January, there's going to be a FIMU Foundation webinar. That's our next one, which is obviously a huge part of our fraternity and support system for our fraternity. And so the date and time for that will be sent out soon. And then January 15th, is the Aglaia deadline for the spring issue. So that's something else to kind of have in mind, you know, sending pictures and things like that in to show the alumni presence and the types of things that you're doing in your chapter to celebrate. So does anybody have any questions? If not, we're really glad that you guys were able to join us, whether it be now or on our recording. And we hope that you were able to take some ideas with you. We would love for you to continue to share your ideas with us. If you try something with your collegiate chapter, our FIMU Alumni Facebook page is a great place to post that kind of stuff because everybody learns from everybody. So if you want to post a picture of some event that you've had and tell us about it, or, hey, we tried this and it didn't go over well, you know, tell us that too. Like that kind of stuff is all really helpful because chapters are always looking for more ideas. If nobody has any questions, then that's all we have. And we're really glad that you came.
Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight.